Now, returning to what's dominated Parliament this week, and that, of course, is Labor's shambolic approach when it comes to Israel and the Middle East. Not to mention that shameless political ploy from the PM with his October 7 motion. Even yesterday, the PM couldn't give a clear answer on Israel's right to defend itself and if he was in lockstep with the US. To get a better understanding of just how much of a mess Labor's current duplicity is when it comes to the Middle East, my next guest has a PhD on war crimes law, having both taught and practiced as a legal advisor to special operations task groups in Afghanistan. Along with this, he served as a military police officer, having undertaken the same UN training that Israel is bound by, and he also happens to be a former Labor candidate. I'm pleased to say Glenn Colomites joins me now. Glenn, we keep hearing calls for ceasefire, even for Israel to not target Hezbollah militants or anything. They've been attacked by Hezbollah, they've been attacked by Iran. The PM is all over the shop. What sort of message is it sending this far into the war when our government, a Western government, still can't seem to get its message straight?
It's sending a very poor message to Israel that we're not a particularly good ally. But I think more critically, it's sending a message to these terrorist groups, these Iran-sponsored terrorist groups, that Australia is providing them strategic succour, strategic support almost, by not openly and very publicly condemning them as terrorist organisations, and by calling on Israel to have a nonsensical ceasefire in the middle of this multifrontal fight, a fight that Israel is undertaking on our behalf against these terrorist bodies, Caleb. So, look, it's a very poor message right across the board, and it's disappointing, particularly now that Israel's in this fight, as I say, on multiple fronts.
As I said before, you've done a PhD on the law around war crimes. Continually, one of the cries we hear at these rallies and protests, etc., in support of Palestine is that Israel has committed war crimes. As someone who is an expert in this area, can you tell me what war crimes have or have not been committed?
Caleb, I've had the benefit of also studying Israeli operations and indeed Israel's compliance with international humanitarian law. And Israel is very compliant. It's very transparent. It's fighting in a very complex battle space, and it's transparent about the way it's doing its business, far more so than Australia has been, if we're going to be brutally frank. Allegations of genocide are utterly nonsense. The numbers of civilian casualties, as tragic as they are, the intent to destroy any people is just not there. The intent is to defend Israel as a country against these multifrontal assaults by terrorist groups, and Israel is doing just that, exercising its inherent right of self-defence, and we need to hear the Australian government coming out and saying just that.
The thing I really can't understand in the fight with Hezbollah at the moment is that you've had calls from Australia and the US and other Western nations to achieve some kind of ceasefire or to put your guns down between Israel and Hezbollah. But of course, the objective here is not to take any land in Lebanon. It is to move Hezbollah far enough back that they're no longer a threat to the north of Israel, as the UN itself resolved many years ago should be the case. So if the West is saying that Israel should not be moving Hezbollah back, are they not effectively saying that Hezbollah has the right to break the rules that the UN set down?
Mate, you've raised a really, really good point there. The UN resolution called for Hezbollah to move back north of the Litani River, so in Lebanon, well away from the Lebanon-Israel border. They put a UN peacekeeping force in place there since that resolution was passed. It's been entirely ineffective, to the point that Hezbollah has been engaging Israel on a very large scale for a long time. So, yes, a call directed at Israel for a ceasefire is, exactly as you say, it's admitting that the UN failed to do its job. Now, Israel is helping the world, the UN, to achieve that objective for that resolution, and not just force Hezbollah back behind the Litani River, but remove Hezbollah from the equation now. The Lebanese people deserve better than Hezbollah, as does the world.
Correct. Glenn Colomites, thank you so much for your time.